That's right, Bikeaholics. This episode is brought to you by our friends over at Biker Planet. It's more than just the largest niche biker dating site. It's an entire social community of bikers. Make sure to check it out via our custom link so you can get all the perks. lawabidingbiker.com/Biker Planet. Oh, let's just get right. See how this day is going?
There you go.
I'm telling you.
It's got to get
better. Did you guys
better.
notice that was the wrong song?
It's got to get better.
This day is this is just not going. That's okay. Here we go. Yeah, now I feel it. Much better. Chewy, I love it. This is the kind of day I've had. I feel like just banging my freaking head on the table. Chewy ended up with a wrench in his pocket because we've been working so hard. He's trying to steal my half-inch box end wrench, and then he pulls that out. It's got oil all over it. It's sitting on the table beside him. We're trying to freaking eat pizza here while we're podcasting, guys, because we're dedicated and we just had a hell of a day. There's a bike on the lift. Chewy's bike. It's not back together. He's going to have to ride one of mine home, and we'll get back to that project. But that's right, guys. Welcome back, you freaking bikeaholics. This is the podcast for the motorcycle majority, the Big MM, also known as the
99%.
That is right, large and in charge of the motorcycle scene more than any time in history, guys. By listening to this very podcast, that's right, you know you are part of what we call the biker revolution. So what are you waiting for, bikeaholics? Mount up. Let us take you on another wild-ass ride. Jake's on front. Chewy's riding, bitch. And if you want to hang on, you're going to have to jump on that back fender and you can ride bitch behind Chewy. Now that's a picture.
Oh, yeah.
And we see people in the chat room. We are live on Blab because I can hear it. You got it going.
Yeah, I got it up.
Jakey got his Blab up and going on his phone so that he can be part of the live chat. And I'm just going to tell you that we got some people in the chat, and I know Greg Gaxiola, he'll do a threesome. He's saying a threesome right now. he'll dang jump on that fender dude and wrap his arms right around Chewy and be good to go. That's right, guys. Ryan Erlacher here, your host of the Law Abiding Biker Podcast, and of course your high-tech redneck. That's right, you already heard. We have the one, the man, the myth, the legend, Jake Justice. And Jake Justice is in the house because we're going to talk about justice today.
There we go.
And he's a resident expert, of course, at justice. We're going to find out. Right next to him, that's all we're going to hear tonight. Because he's so pissed off from today because his bike is not back together. Now, had we not done a podcast, not going to lie to you, we had for the live audience in Blab, they already know the technical difficulties that we had. So not only did we get behind doing videos, then Chewy's bike is apart on the lift, then we haven't even eaten dinner, and the pizza didn't get here on time, and we had Wi-Fi issues, and now we're going to try to eat while we podcast. But nonetheless, we are committed. And when we say we're going to do a live podcast, by golly, we put everything aside. We're here, and we've got a drink, a beverage, and some pizza, so we're going to try not to smack in the microphones, right?
That's right.
Let me move this monitor.
Doing my best.
There we go. Frickin' monitor there. Now I can see both of you. So anyways, yeah, thanks for being here, both of you. It was a last minute thing. If you want to don't forget, guys, if you want to check out the live experience, just lawabidingbiker.com/live. That's our live page. There's an email sign up form over in the upper right-hand corner. The only emails you'll get is when we go live. There's a big, huge button. We send you an email. You can hit the live button when it's time and you can watch. We're doing most of it on Blab now, and it's live video and live audio. Of course, this will come out later in podcast format as usual. All our episodes do. But it is fun, and we're going to get to chat. Real quick shout out. Do you want to shout out to a few of the people there? One of you guys who just scroll through the chat room, see who's there. Can you see it on your phone or not?
All right. Yeah, we have Joseph Schott. Looks like a Bass Demon 73.
Bass Demon 73. I'm guessing that's a bass fisherman.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously.
Tim Valdez. Greg Gaxiola, as always.
Yep.
Betty Dustin.
Sweet. Tim Valdez. Jason One Peterson. Hey, so quick shout out. And so we're going to get to the episode, guys.
Bass guitar, is he saying?
Bass guitar.
Bass Demon, not Bass Demon. Bass Demon.
Oh, bass guitar.
God, you totally screwed that one up, didn't
Well, aren't
you?
they spelled the same?
Holy
Oh my God, dude. That is just how this whole episode's going to go, dude. Straight up failure.
Epic fail.
Epic failure, dude.
Huge mess.
Oh God. So we do have call-in, of course. The show has call-in now, you guys know, because we're on Blab. And we'll try to get you. Just understand if you're trying to join a seat, we just can't do that all the time. It just depends at what point we're at in the show, but we will try to get you in if you have information on, something to input on the main topic. Or, if we just have time to do some call-ins and some say hi kind of stuff. So main topic today we're going to get to, guys, is the biker shooting, Denver, Colorado, guys, the Iron Order fatal biker shooting of a Mongol motorcycle member. We're going to break it down. There has been at least some sort of transition in that case as far as charges. We'll talk about that and what that means. And obviously from an LEO standpoint, we have a lot of insight into how some of those things go and why there wasn't charges, whether there should be charges, things like that. We're going to break it down. And obviously Chewy has been involved in a lot of these type of biker brawl type shooting analysis.
I was going to say, haven't been in any biker brawls.
Correct.
or biker shooting.
Just analyze in the studio. Yes. Analyzing and putting his 2 cents in and weighing in on it. All right, guys. And of course, these episodes, you all know by now, we absolutely could not do these episodes. These episodes are brought to you by the following patrons. Why don't you read all these? Chewy, you the first 3?
Claude Nisi of Wasua, Wisconsin. Thanks, Claude. David Pierce of Jacksonville, Florida.
Top tier patron. Thank you.
John Lennon.
All right. Of Encinitas, California.
Thanks, John.
Encinitas, California. You got these ones, Jakey.
Matthew Ernst of Gulfport, Mississippi. Randy Patton of Harriman, Utah. He's also a top-tier patron. Thank you much.
Yeah.
And Daniel Tarski. Address was not provided. Thank you, Daniel.
Awesome, man. Thanks, guys. They took action. They don't want to sit around and wait for things. They're like, I like this show. I like what these guys do. I want to support their YouTube channel. I want to support the podcast. lawabidingbiker.com/Patreon. Patreon. Guys, there's benefits, of course. No risk. You can pledge a certain amount per piece of content. Get hooked up in that private Facebook group. It is large. Ain't that right, guys?
Very large. Very large.
That is a beast of its own at this point.
It's taken up my entire timeline on Facebook these
days. No doubt. It's so busy. The only way to get in there is get over there to Patreon, our Patreon page. I just gave you the URL and you can get hooked up and figure out what level you need to donate. And you got shirts for you and all that kind of stuff. So, hey, this will be fun. This is something we haven't done in a minute, just because I like to just go off sometimes, Chewy, don't I? And I want to take a bite of this pizza so bad. It's getting cold, but I'm not going to do that because I got to wait for a time you guys are talking that I can actually take a bite or something, because I seen you guys taking bites. It's bullshit.
I feel sorry for the people watching on live TV. The camera's closest to me, and they see my big mouth chomping down on my pizza.
It's actually farther away than you think, but yeah, that's a first. That's a first for the Law Abiding Biker podcast that we're trying to eat while we're podcasting, dude. But I know our audience will forgive us because of the day we've had and still putting it out. So let's see, what do we got here in the chat room? Ryan will have an update interview with Izod explaining the Iron Legacy and why they left the Iron Order. That's actually a good way. And then I'm going to talk about what pisses me off. So Jesse Benson asked that in the chat room.
Yeah, I just saw.
So very good question, Jesse. And I'm going to address that in a minute. That's an awesome question. I'm just making a note, Jesse, here. And that'll probably be how we start. That's good, because I do need to address that. So, all right. And so things that piss me off, dude. This is one. All right. Now, I just want you to basically in your mind, go there with me in your mind. I don't know if this happens to everybody, but it happens to me. And so, dude, it doesn't matter if it's coffee. And if it doesn't happen, you just tell me, because then I know people are just doing it to piss me off. So I go in. It doesn't matter if it's coffee. Doesn't matter if it's fast food, dude. Drive-through. You're all going through the drive-through. You just want your little Starbucks. You just want a cup of coffee. That's all. You don't want to start your day with stress.
No.
You
You really donate to Liberal America?
Happy thoughts. Yeah, I do once in a while. Okay. Actually, I usually go to the local espresso stand.
I'm ashamed of you.
Yeah, I know. Okay. Oh yeah, dude. Here we go. I know this is going to start out good. But so you're just going, you just want your coffee. You just want to start your morning out right. Happy thoughts, right? And I go through, order what I need, dude. And I hand them my card, dude. Okay, now here's the problem. Here's what pisses me off. It never fails that I hand them my card. They take the card, they charge it up, dude. And not within like a half a millisecond, dude, they hand you your card back. And I got my wallet in one hand. I'm just getting my card. And I got some teenage girl shoving food and bags like I'm supposed to grab them, dude. And I got change in my hand, dude. I don't know where to put the stuff, Chewy. I don't know where. And
you only got two hands.
And I only got two hands. Dude, do you think that America would have figured this out by now, that the common courtesy is to realize the freaking guy has his hands full and they're in such a freaking hurry, Chewy. Do you get, and they're putting it in the window, dude, and they're basically like here holding your drink and your thing like you're supposed to hurry.
I've kind of prepared myself for that situation.
You? Okay.
So
does this happen to you?
Yes. What I do is I just normally take my card out of the wallet, have my card ready, hand them the card, and have my hands empty, leave the wallet laying down on the seat. So when they hand me my card back, take my card, throw it in the cup holder, and I'm ready to go.
So you've actually had to make a life alteration for this.
You just kind of think through it, yeah.
Dude.
But the problem is, what if
pisses me off, Chewy? Pisses me off.
What if it's cash? I don't like putting cash down there because then I leave it there. Yeah,
right.
That bothers me.
It only takes a second.
I'm just an anal person, dude, and I don't want my stuff all over. Here's how I handle the situation nowadays. I make them wait while they're holding the bag and food, and I put my card back. And maybe I'm a jackass for doing that, but I'm trying to prove a point that they need to chill a little bit. I know you're in a hurry, but I put my card back in, I fold my wallet up, and then I set my wallet in the console or wherever it goes. Then I reach out. So I make them wait there about 5 seconds with my stuff, Chewy. I'm not going to lie to you.
So,
on a related note, there's something that makes me mad at grocery stores. See if this has happened to you. Not too many people pay with checks anymore, right? Except for old people.
Dude, I don't even have a checkbook.
Yeah, except for old people, and they're slow anyway. What I don't like, pay with the check, that's fine. But then if they're in line and not moving to let you go until they balance what they just spent in the little area at the checkout stand before they go. Happens to me all the time for some reason.
Nice,
and I'm
dude.
sitting there. What?
That is nice. Love it.
You're picking on old people? Really?
I'm sorry. If you're writing checks at a grocery store, you need to live in the times. I wouldn't even take checks if I owned a business at this day and age.
Yeah, checks are
a lot don't, dude.
They're kind of obsolete, but old people, you know what? They've did it for years, so that's what they do.
What's Chewy over here? Mr. The World's Rosie. I just handle it.
Yeah. This is opposite of what I know of you, Chewy.
You know what? I've made an alteration for that. I'm just polite, and I simply put my wallet in the seat, and then I set my card, and I happily take my food. Dude, does anything piss you off, Chewy?
Things do piss me off.
You were pissed off today.
But I've been through it before, so now I'm prepared for that.
Me too.
See, so.
It's called wait.
Yeah, today I was pissed off today. Yes.
And yes, I'm eating, and I'm sorry. That's like the rudest way to podcast, so give me a second.
What do you got in your mouth? What do you got in your mouth?
If you heard my mouth,
sounds like you're slurping on
something. That's like podcast 101. You do not eat while you're podcasting, but our audience will allow it today, I'm sure. Okay, so some cool stuff in the chat room that's online with our subject too. But here's some funny stuff. So Joseph Scott says it's worse when you are holding your phone for them to scan and he dropped their phone. You know, at Starbucks and stuff, you hand them your phone now. I know that stuff's got to be handing.
They got that app on the phone now. You can scan.
It's got to be happening though. I've always wondered they're going to drop my phone. You know what I mean? That stuff's going to happen more often. Here's Base Demon says, I hate it when some old lady is at the till. Oh yeah. Okay. All right. Got you counting tons of change. That's all right. That's good. And then what do we got up here? I thought I saw another one. Oh, it happens in Canada too. Yeah. Base Demon says, I bet it does.
Going over the receipt and questioning every charge.
Oh yeah. Yeah, dude. Another one. B Rogers 930 says in the chat room, hey Ryan, just rode Blue Ridge Parkway, rode 2,700 miles from Naples to DC and back. Sweet, buddy. That's a sweet ride. All right, so here we go. Anything else, dude? I just had to go off on that. I've got a lot of little things that so we got a lot of good feedback when we do a little They like my little things that piss me off. I need an intro to that. I don't really have an intro to it. So who was it in the chat room that talked about, let's just start this topic off. Oh, you know what? One mention real quick about a free video, guys. And then we'll get into our main topic. So free video, guys, and it is, we did it some time ago. It's been out. It is one of our higher end for purchase videos. Of course, 95% of our content is for free. We do sell a few videos for obvious reasons to help to support Law Abiding Biker Podcast and Media. It's a lot of guys were asking about Indians. Well, we got an Indian up on the lift, a brand new Indian. And it is a Indian oil. This one, we've got our Indian oil change video out there. I actually have mentioned that before. It's a complete oil change service maintenance on an Indian, a newer Indian. You can get that over at, I believe, lawabidingbiker.com/Indian oil change, I believe. Let me see. Make sure that's the right URL for you guys. No. Let me see if I can find that URL for you guys. But this particular video, behind the scenes, Indian oil change. Let's see, there it is. So it's actually lawabidingbiker.com/Indian maintenance. If you want to get directly to that, it'll be in the show notes, lawabidingbiker.com/whatever the episode number is. Now, this particular video is a spawn of that. It's a free video, and it's just how to change your reset, your info center. The Indian kind of has somewhat of an info center on it, and it just tells you after an oil change, like cars, how to get in there and set that back so that you, in another 3,000 or whatever, it'll pop up and tell you that you need an oil change. So
speaking of new Indian, we have a new Indian that's part of our.
Yes, we do. And we've talked about John in the past a little bit. He's been on some rides. Indian John.
Now a member of the club.
We need to get him in here, don't we?
Full patch.
We do.
He's a great dude.
Oh, yeah.
Indian John.
He went to Sturgis with us.
He did.
Right.
He hasn't wrecked his bike or anything like that.
No, never.
He doesn't tip his bike over standing in the roadway or anything like that.
Oh God, we've got some stories.
Very good.
And he's actually just probationary member. He did his hang around time and a probationary member of the Sworn Few MC at this point. But yeah, we do need to get him in here.
No, we got full patch.
Sorry. See what a day it's been.
That's why I said we got a new Indian.
Thank you. And I'm reading notes ahead. So yes, sorry, full member, and we do need to get him in here. Man. We do need to get him in here. So. All right. And the reset, the Indian oil reset one is lawabidingbiker.com/Indian oil reset. So let's get into if you want that free video, let's get into our main topic. Now, you just got done listening to this, Jakey, while you were running. To refresh your memory, did you say you just got done listening to a podcast episode?
Yeah, I finished this one on Tuesday.
And which one was it?
It was the Lab episode 101, the Colorado Motorcycle Expo biker shooting and stabbing. It was the initial one from the initial perspective. Didn't really know what the result would be, but on initially kind of what happened. I think it was you and Chewy and Matt Pass.
Yes, it was. You remember that one, Chewy?
I do, yes.
All right. So the shooting, we're going to, basically what it was, if you guys want to go back, we strongly encourage you to listen to that episode 101, lawabidingbiker.com/101. Because if you're not familiar with it, we went over a lot of stuff and a lot of the details. This is kind of follow-up to it. And thanks for the claps, guys, and blah, by the way. But we did a lot of, we just wanted to follow up to it. There has been, like I say, some things that have happened in that case. We're going to kind of give our perspective like usual and what's going on and some insight. And so it happened back. I'll give you a brief on it. Do you want to go over this, Jake, or do you want me to? Can you see it okay when it happened and all that?
Yeah, I can see it. Well, basically happened in the Denver area. It was kind of like a Motorcycle Expo, from what I understand. January 30th, 2016 it was in Denver.
Yes.
And basically what happened was we had the group of iron orders there, probably a bunch of motorcycle clubs that were there, and some kind of altercation took place. And it kind of, at the time, a lot of the scuttlebutt about what happened was there were some racial slurs directed towards a certain member of the iron order by some Mongols. Trying to get him to fight. Took him a while. Didn't want to fight. Ended up what happened, from what we're hearing at the time, sounds like somebody finally knocked a drink out of his hand. Fight was on. It's kind of still unclear exactly when weapons came into play. But at one point, one of the Iron Order fired a shot. And I think that from what we're hearing now, it was shot back at by a member of the Mongols. and then he returned fire again and ended up shooting and killing the Mongol. And apparently, he was on some stairs. It was it was basically kind of a big melee. There was a stabbing that occurred during it. It was kind of a mess, and so they're just trying to. That one was just trying to kind of figure out what happened and who was involved. And a lot of the, I guess how we would talk about it. A lot of people think the Iron Order is a cop club. This didn't help a lot with that because the guy that was involved was a corrections officer, the guy that fired the shots, and so that just added to it. A lot of conspiracy theories behind that, and it was kind of everybody saying people were saying it was an assassination, all kinds of crazy things. So at the end of this one, you're just kind of waiting to see what would be found when the investigation, the evidence presented itself. Witnesses were talked to, things like that.
Good. Any follow up on that, Chewy?
No, I think that was pretty accurate.
You better get your crap together, Chewy. All right. Good. That was good.
I do have a question. Scuttlebutt? Can you?
You haven't used that term before?
I know what scuttlebutt is because my sister uses it all the time.
Scuttlebutt. Is that like something from the South that they use or what? I have no idea.
It's like the word on the street.
Scuttlebutt. I'm going to have to use that.
That's the 411.
The 411, yeah. It's the scuttlebutt, dude. Next time you're talking to somebody, dude, just, when you're interrogating somebody, just say, so what's the scuttlebutt?
So tell me the scuttlebutt about all this.
We need to work that into a report.
You do. we were just talking about working words into reports. Told you I was going to get warm up here, boys. I got to get an air conditioner thing up here, dude. It's ridiculous this time of year. I'm sorry. Thanks for hanging. All right. So I just want to emphasize, as we've stated, we do talk about the biker scene. We talk about, this involves an organized motorcycle gang, the Mongols, who are well known as a motorcycle gang, but in no way are, because we talk about this stuff, this is what people want to hear. We've had so much feedback that we know this is a lot of what people want us to report on. So we listen to the audience, and of course, we're not supporting any type of organized motorcycle gang or criminal activity. We're law-abiding biker media. We're simply reporting these are incidents that are important that happen in the motorcycle scene. And, whether you want to admit it or not, these people are maybe not part of the obviously law-abiding biker scene, but they're part of the motorcycle scene. And so this is newsworthy biker events. And so, again, we're not supporting it or anything like that. I'll also say never once, and you all know us, never once here at Law-Abiding Biker Media have we ever, we try to be very fair and look at it from a fair perspective. And some people don't like that because we're fair. They want us to go off on, certain things or go off on one club or the other. That's not what we're here for. Never have we ever said that every member of an organized motorcycle gang, whether that be the Hells Angels, whether that be the Mongols or anything, we've never said every single one of them is out committing daily crimes and raping and stealing. Okay, what we've said is it's very well known that within those clubs, there are factions, large factions, that do commit criminal activity. There's people in prison for it. There's people that have murdered. There are people that, in racketeering. There's all kinds of stuff. And the unfortunate part is within those clubs, it is the others look away. It's supported, but not every single one of them is doing it. Not every single one of them is doing it all the time. And so, yes, Chewy.
I was going to say, that's just not a stick. I mean, it's not something that is just coming up now. Oh, right. These guys, they're 1% clubs.
Correct.
Look at the history on these 1% clubs, the facts. That's what happens. They commit crimes. That's just what they do.
And if they're guys that aren't doing it, they're tolerating it.
Correct.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all we've said. So we're not saying that every single one of them is just the biggest dirtbag in the world, but but like Jake just said, they are tolerating it. So that's what we always preface these episodes with. We're going to talk about clubs and things like that. And we obviously, because we think that way, we have a fair perspective that we're not just going to talk bad about one club or the other. It's not what we're here for. So,
but I think people need to also realize, and I know we've talked about this before, the Iron Order, they're not just a specific law enforcement police officer bike club. They're not.
All walks of life.
They do have law enforcement, corrections, police officers, but it's not strictly a law enforcement club.
Correct. I wish you would have talked a little longer because I was about ready to take another bite of pizza. I was like, keep talking. No, that's all right. No, you're right. And I did articles on that. We talked about that in 101, remember? That they aren't. And of course, the media tried to paint them as such.
Because that's juicy.
Sells commercial spots, bro.
Because when bad things happen and there are police involved, technically bad things, when a shooting or something bad in nature happens and police are involved, of course, the people, that's juicy information. That's what people want to hear.
Oh, yeah.
And in my aspect, you better be glad that maybe this guy was there. This guy that's involved in law enforcement that has training was at the scene and maybe prevented others from getting injured or others from getting,
it's hard to say,
dying or whatever.
Never thought of that.
We don't know all the facts, but we're trained a certain way and we know how to protect ourselves and protect others. That's for sure.
Correct. Agreed. Yeah, that interesting perspective that maybe we'll dive in a little deeper to that, Chewy. That's not a bad topic of discussion. So real quick, I wanted to answer, that's right, before we move on, I wanted to answer whoever that was in the chat room. I'm sorry, it's just blowing up the chat room and I love it. I love it that everybody's in there. He was asking if I'm going to do a follow-up episode. So one of the things that happened, before we get into the criminal aspect, one of the things that happened was, before this shooting, the Iron Order, the international president was Ray Izod Lubeski, excuse me. And he was one of the, he gave me, we did a 2-part podcast series on him back when he was the international P of the Iron Order. I don't know those episodes off the top of my hand, but they're in my article. Just go to lawabidingbiker.com. You can search Izod or Ray Lubeski. You can get those episodes and I'll put them in these show notes. But I did interview him. So the question in the chat room was, they split off.
Right.
So they split off before this shooting. There's been some inner turmoil, I will say that, in the club, in the Iron Order, and we are not a part or affiliated with the Iron Order either, guys. We just know of them. But so what happened is Ray Lubeski broke off and started the Iron Legacy, and he took people with him. And there's a new president with the Iron Order, the international president right now. So what I'll say to answer that question, am I going to interview Ray again with the Iron Legacy? He has been in touch with me. And so is the new president of the Iron Order, directly in touch with me. And I've had long conversations with both of them. There's a lot of stuff, going on there. And I've had off the record conversations with both of them on the phone. And at this point, I can see that in the future. And I had told Ray that I just don't think that is what that club needs right now. And if I do interviews, it's not really going to be about what, the ins and outs of why they left or anything like that. Really, that's their business. I would do one with Ray in the future, and he knows that when things settle down. And I would do one with the new president too, of the Iron Order, and just find out about the club's direction and what they're doing. And same with the Iron Legacy, what that club's about, membership and stuff like that. So they'd be general club interviews, but so hopefully that answers your question. So yeah, I can see one in the future. I just think things with that club, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. They need to just be put on ice for a bit and just let everybody kind of figure out direction and relax and what they're doing and where they're going and stuff like that.
Stay out of the limelight. Stay at home for a little bit.
Yes.
Hang out at somebody's house. Don't be going out.
Right. And so, yeah, just put those on ice. But I can see that in the future. Sure, we'll watch, and we're all kind of watching now what's going to happen and where things are going. But yeah, they both reached out to me. I had long conversations with both of them, and just to see, make sure what everything was going on. And Ray reached out to me. So there you go. What was I going to get into? Let's just go ahead. So the criminal investigation's been going on, obviously, since January 30th. And honestly, must have been a huge undertaking for any law enforcement agency. Can you imagine?
Very much so.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Pretty high profile deal.
Yeah.
They want to make sure they're going to do it right because the media's all over it.
Yep. Breathing down their neck, right, Jakey?
Right.
Yep. Breathing down their neck.
All the time, yeah.
And so, they did a very thorough investigation, and in my opinion, just watching it from an outsider and following it, it looks like they did a very thorough investigation.
Well, I think
they interviewed a ton of witnesses. Go ahead.
I think something that the listeners need to understand too is the majority of the law enforcement community, they look at the law enforcement biker clubs as a negative thing, from what I've in what I've dealt with. So in no means would the law enforcement community try to cover something up about this. They do a thorough job. It's a very, very big case. The media's in on it. The media's there. They're not going to try to cover something up. They're going to try to do their best job to find out the facts. Because if something did happen and a law enforcement officer was the cause, they're going to want to know that. It's not something they're going to want to cover up. They're going to want to get the facts out and do it the right way. It's not something that's going to be covered up.
Right. And that whole covered up word, that just makes me laugh because honestly, that's police agencies don't cover. No. Has it happened? Okay. Less than, but agencies are not out there covering it. There's no benefit for them to cover anything up in a case like this.
Well,
that's
quite
just
honestly,
so ridiculous.
How do you cover something up like this that's out in the open of the public?
In the days, you're right. In the days of cover-ups, I'm sure some things still are, but the days of cover-ups significantly decreased, once with the advent of technology.
Correct.
You just can't, it's impossible. The cell phone.
Yeah.
And there would have to be a reason to try to cover it.
Yeah, and
the police agency doesn't have a stake in this. There's no stake for this at all for them to cover anything up. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the guy that shot wasn't wasn't part of the agency that investigated it.
And if he had been, they probably would have called another agency. That's why that happens, guys. Right. We're so lucky in the United States. We are so lucky. And I'm not just saying that because I'm in Leo. I'm just saying as far as squared away law enforcement agency and corruption, dude, that happens in other places, dude. Mm-hmm. We are very, very blessed here in that country. But Basement Bloggers, again, it sells, and they can put up their link bait on their little cheap sites and get a few of those. But of course, weird stuff has happened over time. Nothing's perfect, but for the most part. All right, so here we go. This is the interesting part. So we've broke the case down, right?
Right.
Kind of what happened. And so let's just go out with what happened, and then we'll roll from there. So here you go, official press release. And again, I'll link to this article that I did, guys, and you can get the official press release if you want. But basically, the official press release from the DA's office. All right, why don't you? Let me say this, and then I'll have you follow up, Jake.
Okay.
From the DA's office, it was dated April 19th, 2016. Says, quote, "The case was presented for consideration of charges yesterday, and the legal review concluded that there is no likelihood of a conviction due to the self-defense claim by Mr. Duran. Mr. Duran was the corrections officer, part of the Iron Order that shot the Mongol, just for reference. So that's where we're at. Is this the way you see this case, either of you? The process from the shooting to the investigation to forwarding to the DA's office, is this standard procedure?
Absolutely.
Correct. And
it is.
They took their time and did care. It's almost 4 months.
Well, look what the article says.
Right.
23 of those witnesses were completely independent bystanders.
Hey, good job, Chewy. And this is my article. Way to read on.
Oh, yeah.
So what about that? What does that mean to you?
If something is haywire, if something's wrong, you're not going to have, these witnesses, they're not all going to give the story that would clear this guy. There's going to be something in there that cause.
And I will bet you how much of that was on camera that we haven't seen yet.
Absolutely.
In a venue like that.
A lot of the information in this case and what happened has not been released.
Right.
It hasn't.
Correct. I think it's all public disclosure now, but I don't know how much the media has dug to get. I think
if it was released, I think people would go, wow. This was justified.
Right.
Or
I guarantee you.
And it depends. We talk about this in law enforcement too. Use of force, when we do it, a lot of times it doesn't look good on camera, even when it's 100% justified. So it depends on whose eyes look through it. You have some people that are, will say, okay, he got shot at, but why did he have to shoot back? Because he could have hid behind his car. Some dumb stuff like that. So,
well, a lot of the videos are edited too. Yeah. So you only see a small portion of what happened.
Right.
So,
well, there was video, and somebody brought it up in the chat room. There is video of it, guys, and you just haven't seen it yet. It will come out. It just takes time. You got to do public disclosure on all that stuff. Trust me, the Denver Police Department probably has hand trucks of information. There was in fact video surveillance inside that. It's going to show a lot of the movements and where people were, and it's all available for public disclosure. That means you can get it. So if you have any questions, I encourage you to get a hold of the Denver Police Department and ask for it, because it's disclosable now. And the media does a lot of that. And so slowly you're going to see a lot of that stuff coming out now as they get their hands on it. So any follow-up on that?
I think that once this case is adjudicated and everything's said and done, I think that they should release that video.
Well, they will.
So the public can see it
on their own
and just see what, that way you don't have these people giving out false claims and whatever, for or against, whatever.
Right.
Release it, show the facts of what happened, and then people can go, oh, okay, this is what caused it.
Correct. And again, I don't know exactly what's on the video. I don't know if every angle was captured. So you know how it is sometimes. Sometimes you see parts of it,
right,
and then not. Honestly, I haven't seen it. I'm waiting for it, but we'll certainly review it when we find it.
Well, the interesting part of it is, where you're going to get your conspiracy theories on this is that he fired the first shot,
right?
And I still want to know why.
But who cares?
I know. I hear what you're saying. It may have been completely justified.
If he's protecting somebody, he can fire the first shot.
I agree with you 100%. But that's where that's coming from.
Yep. Right.
And I'm wondering what led to that, because I haven't really heard anything definitive. I don't know if you guys have, as to why that first shot was fired. Clearly they think there's a reason, or else they're probably not clearing him.
Right.
Well, there's some other people that were stabbed. Who knows?
Right.
Maybe somebody pulled a knife out and they were attacking somebody, and so he shot at him.
Right. That's the information that I would like to see.
Right.
But yeah, because that might help quell some of that. Because I read the other article from the basement blogger, and that was interesting, and that was in there, and some other interesting things.
Right. Right. And so, a couple good points that Chewy brought up, and then we'll bring it up. And again, guys, like we said, there has to be a reason. If you're gonna go down the road of being, basement blogger, and you're gonna say conspiracy theory, well, there has to be a reason. He was not an officer of the Denver Police Department. What happens is, if it would have been a police officer, they would call another agency to handle that investigation. So very straightforward. This is a pretty typical standard investigation, how it goes. So 23 witnesses you talked about. That's there's witnesses.
Independent bystanders.
Correct. And that's what you guys really out there. And this is the stuff we are weighing, guys. You can talk conspiracy theory all day, but you're not going to be able to prove it based on certain things like this. The reason is there's 23 independent witnesses. Okay. In law enforcement, obviously the Iron Order, we get it. They're going to have witnesses. I'm not saying what they're going to say, but obviously they have a bone to pick in the game, right? The Mongols, if they were to ever be a witness, which is the other reason this case failed, which we'll talk about, completely failure when they don't talk. I don't know how they could ever expect any conviction. That's nonsense. But and so the Mongols are going to have a piece in the game. The people that don't have a piece in the game are the 23 freaking people that were standing there minding their own business and watched this and then gave police statements. That is, you hardly ever have 23 independent witnesses that are cooperating.
Oh yeah.
They don't have a stake in the game. It does.
Some that they will cooperate.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So that should be overwhelming to you guys that there's 23 independent bystanders. And if those bystanders would have said he murdered that guy, he just walked up and shot him in the back or whatever, well, they would have said that. They didn't say that. And clearly their statements don't give the DA's office anything to go charges on. Because if they had 23 witnesses saying that he was guilty, they would be charging him, and they didn't obviously say that.
But what you've got to remember, too, is it wasn't just these 23 people. It was physical evidence and video evidence combined with that led to this decision. It wasn't just, so there's a lot to it.
Yep.
And also there's more than, understand, these are 23 people that cooperated with the police.
Correct.
There's probably a huge amount more that observed something that happened but aren't willing to get involved.
Correct.
Because they don't want to get involved.
Correct.
There were more. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet there were.
There's just 23 that are documented that cooperated with the case and gave their statement.
And they interviewed 40 witnesses total. So I assume a lot of those were obviously with the Iron Order.
17, you were saying. Article were Iron Order, so that left the 23.
Oh, sorry. You're right. My bad. Yep, 17. You're right, Jake. Very good. So that means 23 of those. That was my math. I was like, okay, so I did that when I was doing my article. This is an interesting. People read this wrong, or they look into it, especially the conspiracy theory from Mars. Everybody's out to get us from Mars, people. We have considered this a homicide. This is from Sonnier, who's a commander with Denver Police.
Right.
We, quote, we have considered this a homicide investigation throughout. I believe we have done a completely thorough investigation. So people hear, oh my God, they considered it a homicide investigation. Oh my God, he's a murderer.
Thank you. Anytime somebody dies that's not natural causes or suicide, it is a homicide.
Yes.
It could be justifiable.
Yes.
Or other cause, but still it is a homicide. Homicide just means somebody died at somebody else's hand. Basically.
When a cop is involved in a shooting that is justified on the job, it's considered a homicide.
It's still a homicide.
It's still a homicide.
It could be a negligent homicide. It could be, could be accidental.
Could be a justified homicide, which is what is investigated. Is it a homicide or a justified homicide?
Right. And that was all throughout the other bloggers thing. Well,
oh God,
it got presented to the DA as a first degree murder case.
Freaking moron.
It got presented to the DA with the information that they had for him to review for charges, which we do commonly in law enforcement.
Yes.
And
somebody died at the hands of somebody else.
What understand this about the cops?
Argument. His argument is a failure.
Yeah. Police officers normally don't actually file a formal charge. Police officers make recommendations and request. Yes. It's a DA or a prosecutor that actually files the charge, the formal charge. And that's, that charging person did not think there was evidence based on what he had.
Correct. So it very, very well said, Jake. And that's why I want people, to note on, they say, oh my God, it was a homicide investigation. Yeah, no shit. Everybody that dies of not natural causes or violently, it's a freaking homicide investigation until proven otherwise. That just means the police they're trying to tell you they're taking it seriously. But you know how these people have no clue how the system works. And then they get on and they say stuff. I was just laughing. I'm like, oh my God.
And I think the majority, well, I shouldn't say, maybe the majority of the public think that the police actually do the charging.
Correct.
And he's correct. We don't. We write up the facts of what we saw and what other people saw.
Exactly.
Like in this case. Witness statements. And we make a recommendation that this, based on the evidence at the scene, based on witness statements, based on the evidence we collected, this is the charge we think is correct.
That falls under whatever the laws for that state are written, right? We think it meets these elements.
And then the prosecutor will get a hold of that and look at it and go, yeah, you're right. Or no, this is the appropriate charge.
Correct. Or we don't think there's enough evidence. And they shred it.
Yep.
So, that's a system in place. So let's talk about this. The Mongols, which is everybody knows that. They'll tell you they don't cooperate with police. They don't cooperate with investigations. And they don't give statements. Now, this is a funny picture.
Otai.
It cracks me up because sitting here, this is an interesting comment in the chat room, Jesse Benson, that I want to get. How sad it is that anyone is involved in a shooting of any sort just because they are riding a motorcycle and wearing a patch on their back.
I saw that. Well
said.
It is. But it happens. Trust me.
Yeah, B. Rogers says, very sad, bro. Yep. Let's see. What do we got going on here? I'm just reading this. Yeah, and so, again, Jason 1 Peterson says in the chat room, Waco is the only one, these bike Leo conspiracies that may have some legs, not so much with the shooting, but the prosecuting judge relationship. Yeah, so, I don't know what that is. I would have to look into it, but interesting. And we are at some point going to follow up on the Waco one, but there's just so much still going on with that case that we haven't had time. So
there were so many suspects on that one. They're not going to have a finding for a while.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why we kind of have just been, I have articles of follow up on it, but it's not done. Yeah, you're right. There's so many suspecting cases. That's just a freaking mess. All right. So what we're looking at here is, during this investigation, you guys remember this deal where the Stubbs, this real bright individual who's an attorney for these Mongols, this guy went out and I don't know what, I still don't understand what he thinks he was going to do. And this knucklehead, I don't know if he was being pressured and then telling him to do, because this is just a dumb attorney move, but not that all attorneys make bright decisions, but he goes out in a press conference right after. Okay. And I've got a picture on this article. If you want to see it, guys, you can go to Law Abiding Biker site and find this article. But Stephen Stubbs, and so he's standing there in a press conference with two Mongols. They're not wearing their cuts, but clearly probably Mongols. And he says they are. And they're trying to drum up support in the wake of the Denver, Colorado shooting. And he's basically, at that time, he's asking them, the people, the witnesses, to go out. Hey, go out. And he's telling all the witnesses that saw it, go out and tell the police, give them statements and tell them the truth. But we're not going to talk to them. You know what I mean? It just didn't. I talked about this on that episode, Chewy.
It makes no sense.
It's just asinine.
Yes, it does make sense.
Why?
You know why?
We're not going to testify, but we want you to.
Here's why. Number one, we're criminals.
Right.
Criminals do not go along with the police. They don't cooperate.
Some do.
Well, true, but what they're going to do.
But you're talking the Mongols. You're talking.
No, it's their code. That's what I said up front.
Right.
That's what I said up front.
They are not going to cooperate and say anything. They're not. That's just the way it is.
That's their code.
But then out of the side of their mouths, they're going to be saying, "Oh,
thank you."
But
we're the victims." But you understand, we always, we joke around, and the police won't say joke around, but one of our sayings is "no victim, no crime." Well, that's true in a way. If you don't have a victim, I mean, if a victim dies, it's one thing. But say you have an assault. If you don't have a victim that's willing to say, "Okay, I'm a victim. Somebody did something bad to me." If you don't have that, then what's going to happen? This is very similar. They're acting like they're the victims, but yet they won't give a statement.
Well,
what do they expect is going to happen?
How many times have you gone to a crime where it's a serious crime? I can count tons of times where you go in and you're talking to the victim of the crime, and they're not going to give you any information, and they're not going to cooperate. Well, what kind of case are you going to build when somebody does that? You're not going to build any case whatsoever.
Nope. And that's what this. And I don't know why they expect anything different when they act like that.
Correct. That's what's so just juvenile about it.
And it makes them look horrible. I mean, if there's if you're not in the wrong, you're going to come out and you're going to talk about what happened.
Right. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm listening. I accidentally started a frickin'.
I mean, that's just the case.
Right.
You have something to hide. That's why you don't want to talk, or you're scared of, scared of retaliation.
Right.
Well, the Iron Order going to retaliate against you?
Right.
Or it's so ingrained in them that they just won't cooperate no matter what. I mean,
and this poor guy, this poor attorney, he's probably scared out of, he agrees to be an attorney for these guys.
Right.
Because they're paying him big money, but now he's probably crapping his pants because they're telling him, when he's scared, they're probably telling him, you're going to go out there and you're going to make a statement.
Right.
And you're going to do this. He's probably scared crapless. He's probably scared that.
That's what I can only imagine.
If he doesn't, he's getting paid money.
Right.
Because this just makes him look stupid.
Correct. That's what I mean.
A normal person would go, no, that's not what no, I'm not going to do that. But he's probably scared.
Right.
And he's making money.
And he went on.
He's going to go out and who cares? I'm not going to die today and I'm going to get paid.
But how many times have you even heard, public defense attorneys say things this bad? I've had it happen.
I have. Yes.
Yeah, I have.
Right. All right, let's take just a real quick one, and then we'll get right back into it here. That's right, Bikeaholics. This episode brought to you by our friends over at Biker Planet. They obviously care about the biker community by supporting this very show. So what do you say we show them some love, huh? Biker Planet, it's more than just the largest niche biker dating site. It's an entire social community of bikers, even if you're not interested in dating. Looking for a dating relationship? Well, then find a dating relationship with someone that loves motorcycles and the lifestyle just like you. Not looking for a date? No problemo. Then just head over there and connect with bikers around the world. Plan rides, meetups, or heck, just socialize. The website is super clean and user-friendly. Chat, search, see who's online, browse photos, check your own private mailbox. That's right, no commitment, and it's free to check out. Use our special custom link, though, so you get all the perks and a lifetime discount of 50% should you choose to become a full member. Head over to lawabidingbiker.com/bikerplanet. That is the link to use. All right. I'm just in the chat room here, chatting away while that was rolling there.
Do we still have video? I don't have it on my phone, so I don't know.
Yeah, we're still.
Okay, cool.
I did see the in the chat room talking about our previous topic of scuttlebutt. It was a naval term. It is a naval term for gossip that they use in the Navy. Now, I wasn't in the Navy, but I heard it from someone.
I just thought it was one of your slang words that you just brought up.
Yeah, I just made that up. Come on.
Just out of right off the top. Now, this Stubbs idiot did a couple of YouTube videos too right after that, and I watched just a little bit. I was like, he's just sitting there with a talking head and basically defending the Mongols and how they didn't do anything. Like trying to, and he got like 2 views. But he's trying to defend and put a case out over YouTube when his very own clients are not testifying. So I'm just going to reiterate what you guys pretty much said already is if anybody is surprised that this case didn't go anywhere, you should not be surprised. If you do not have a victim, a willing victim, and if you don't have willing witnesses on that side, and all you have to go on is 23 independent witnesses that said whatever they said. Obviously, they didn't say that he shouldn't have done it. In some way, they supported the shooter, and you don't have any from the other side. That's really hard for a case to, it's never going to go anywhere probably. Right?
Yeah, a lot of times you'll have a victim.
I mean, it seems
a lot of times you can have a victim that's not going to cooperate, but yet you have witnesses.
Correct.
And they can build a case, and you have a suspect. You can build a case off of that. Okay, but if you have this situation where none of the participants, none of the people in that club are going to make a statement, how can you present that to a jury?
Right.
I mean, and the prosecutor is going to be
happened.
looking too at, and like he said, he didn't think he could get a conviction. There may have been a witness statement or two in there that wasn't great for the shooter.
Oh, absolutely.
But it wasn't enough for him to think he could get a conviction, and that's important to understand too. It probably wasn't all this guy did the right thing. Some of it might have been different, but they have to weigh. It's different for cops. We have to, cops to make an arrest. It's probable cause. It's the burden of proof is much less than it would be in court. For a conviction is 99% plus.
Right. And now that's an interesting point is that they didn't come out. And I know my article and podcast, of course, it says self-defense. That's kind of a question. Is it self-defense? Is it not? Sometimes they'll come out, the DA's office, with a ruling and clearly state, like they did in this one, the Jacksonville Beach Nippers bill. Remember this, where the Iron Order and the Black Piston shooting that we did a podcast on? Let me see if I can get you guys an episode number. Oh,
back up.
Oh, yep.
48.
Make sure to listen episode 48 and 49, facts and information of the incident. Okay. So there you go.
Was that the follow? Yeah.
Or was that the original? Let me scroll down and see.
I did the one where we did the follow-up with you guys.
Right.
I don't think it was that old.
Let me see. Usually I have resources. Yeah, right here. Episode 63 is where we talk about the justifiable homicide ruling for biker Iron Order in Jacksonville Beach, Florida. So episode 63, that was probably the best one, the follow-up there. But they did come out in that one, remember? Because there was we went over that video and it's like just egregious. And it was certainly like unarguable self-defense, how they snuck up behind them and stuff like that. And, but this one, is that what sorry, Jake, I know you took a bite. This is interesting because I'm not seeing it as the prosecutor coming out and saying it was self-defense. They're just coming out and saying it's lack of evidence. So they're not saying that necessarily that they're saying it's self-defense, but they're not saying it's not self-defense. They're basically just saying, we really don't have enough to prove anything. Whether we don't have enough to prove him completely innocent, and we don't have enough to prove, I shouldn't say that. It's probably the wrong comment. You know where I'm going with this, Jake?
I do.
Yeah, maybe you can explain it better than me.
From my point of view, there isn't enough evidence to constitute a valid charge. And so there clearly a homicide occurred, but is, like we said, there's justifiable homicide that includes self-defense.
Right.
Even another justifiable homicide would be, somebody getting executed. That's still a homicide.
Right.
So in this case, there's not enough evidence to prove that it wasn't self-defense. So there might be a few things that point that, okay, there's some weird things going on.
Right.
But in the totality of everything going on, they clearly think it's more on the side of self-defense than not, which is why they're not proceeding. That's why.
Correct.
That's
well said. Thank you. Because I was getting tongue twisted there. I was trying. Oh, that was loud. You knew what I was trying to explain. I saw you looking at me like, I think I can explain that. Yeah. So they just didn't have enough to do the full come out and say, self-defense, but certainly not enough to move forward with charges. So Chewy, you look like you have something to say over there.
Well, the Iron Order's been involved in a lot of things here lately. I shouldn't say a lot. Some of their incidents have been in the news here lately of some things that they've been involved in.
Over the last couple of years?
So,
we've reported on a lot of that.
Yeah. So I think that, at some point, somebody's got to start looking at what's going on with that club. Is there some other clubs that are upset at them, at the way their patch looks? There's got to be something.
No, that's what it is.
Are they hanging out at are they hanging out at places where, these outlaw biker guys are hanging out, and these outlaw bikers know who the Iron Order are? So they're taking offense to the fact that they wear these patches. So now, what is it?
It could be a lot of things. I think that there's some of that.
No, there is some of that. Even their own attorney for the Iron Order said, they don't like us.
But they got to, they've got to start. Okay. They got to start pointing the finger. Maybe they aren't at fault for causing these things to happen, but you got to start thinking about, what are we doing? Where are we going? How are we presenting ourselves?
Do you think it might
at
be
some point?
Do you think it might be the result of maybe, because they're not super old, they might have grown a little too fast?
I think they're realizing that. That would be my guess.
So it's hard to control. Sometimes if you do that, sometimes it can be hard to control quality.
Well, they're obviously irritating more than just the Mongols. They're irritating people.
But they're so visible and they're so out in force. I mean, it's one thing if you have a smaller club with the 3-piece, but they're so visible. And it's not, it's not.
And
they're not doing anything wrong. I mean,
no, I'm not saying that I have anything against the Iron Order. I don't know those guys. I don't know their club. I'm just saying, at some point, when these things happen, at some point you got to start pointing the finger at yourself, saying, "What are we doing, or how can we prevent this from happening in the future?
Right? What
can we do to help ourselves not get in that situation, especially as law enforcement? We're at a different level than the normal citizens. We are.
Oh, you mean our club?
No, I'm talking about clubs in general, like the Iron Order.
Well, they're not a police club, though.
What they have, law enforcement.
Have few, yes.
And so those guys that are involved in law enforcement, we have to question ourselves. What are we doing? Mm-hmm. Because we're out there in the public. We have to make a positive impact. We can't be doing these things that are getting us involved in shootings, And sometimes it just happens. But what I'm trying to say is they've been involved in a lot of things here in the past year that's been in the media, some big things. So we got to start looking at ourselves saying, how can we prevent this from happening again? What can we do to better ourselves to help prevent this from happening again?
No, you're right. Perception, right? Mm-hmm. Perception, unfortunately, sometimes is reality. Mm-hmm. I will tell you that, yes, since that has started, since this happened, there's whole chapters in the Iron Order that have folded. There's a lot of heat from... and none of this is inside information. This is all stuff I read online. Okay. There have been chapters folded. There is, I'm certain, a restructuring to get a hold of things. Cause my honest opinion is I don't think that anybody wants this stuff to happen. It's very clear for years that they grew fast. Everybody knows that. This is all over online. I mean, just look at some of the trash out there that, they don't like them. They grew, they wear a 3-piece patch, they didn't ask permission. It's all the typical bullshit, stuff that shouldn't matter, like earlier in the lab, or in the room, that nobody should, get in fights and over these patches, but that's how it started. And that's what it's over. And the 1%er clubs will tell you that. It's not a, they're all over talking about it. I mean, there's no secrecy about why this is happening. It's pretty apparent. Now, is some of it because they don't stand down or do stand down? Should they stand down? That's not really for me to decide. I'm not involved with that. I'm sure there's different opinions on that and all that kind of stuff. But there are clubs that folded. I know that the military, like Pass said last time, the military was looking at saying that the Iron Order, because they don't want their people involved, were thinking about saying you cannot be a part of that or you're in violation.
If they do that, it will be a huge blow to that club, because if they do that, law enforcement will start doing the same thing.
Right. Well, they already have.
Yeah.
You're right. LE has, I believe. I think that I'm guessing, and I do not know this. My guess would be that there was quite a few LEs that left. Imagine right now, and I'm just saying, and I'm not talking bad about them at all. I'm just saying I couldn't be, just because of what happened, a part of that club. And I mean, you probably either. I mean, think about that, right now. Now, before, maybe right now you can't, it'd be hard to justify that, you know, the impact that would have if you were an LE and part of that club. I'm just saying.
My boss would lose his ever-loving mind.
Correct. And that's a fine line.
Yeah.
That's a fine line. And I know that there's probably LEs out there that probably left and said, you know, this, I can't justify this anymore being a part of this because it's too much heat. You know, our club's different. You know, we're
that's what
100% LE.
I appreciate our club so much because sometimes based on the actions of others, we have to react to that. If we've got other people in our club that don't think the same way we do, because cops think differently than the majority of people. We do. We think a little different.
A different perspective on things.
We have a different perspective. We're constantly we're looking at things. So, and if we're part of a club where somebody doesn't have that mind frame and they do something, and then we have to react to it. You see what I'm saying?
Correct.
So that's why I appreciate our club so much is we all are law enforcement. We basically all think basically alike.
Right.
And we have the same, well, no. And if somebody doesn't think a situation's right, where we're going, nah, I don't think we should go. And we respect that. Okay.
Correct.
All right, let's talk about it. No, this is why okay, good enough.
We make good decisions.
Yeah.
And we do everything in our power to avoid any type of, because we just don't need that kind of
We don't want any negative.
I don't want this to be our name on here, you know? And
that'd be bad.
You're right, Chewy. That brings up just a good point. It is. And like I said, people are asking me, B. Rogers 930, can you give us some insight into what it was like talking with them? I think he's talking about Ray Lubeski and the new president. Both, I'll tell you, both individuals are very, very educated individuals. The way they speak, you can tell both of them are leaders and they understand, both of them, the complete picture of what's going on and, you know, what is in the media and perception. So they're both, I think that they both, they're not, neither of them is snubbing their nose or anything like that. You know, they just, again, I do want to do an interview with Ray, but I guess what I would mostly say is they're both got it handled in their minds. You know what I mean? About what they need to do or what they're going to do or what, you know, what's happened in the past or anything like that. But both, a pleasure, absolute pleasure to speak with both of them. The time that I got to spend, and hopefully things will settle down. That's my hope, is that this can somehow, and I'll just say it. I do think that the Iron Order, I've never had a bad experience with them, but they gotta, if they're going to stay with that law-abiding biker logo. And again, like you said, we're not saying they're doing anything criminal, or like Jake said, it is what it is, and it's perceived now. And when you have LEs and you have military thinking about targeting you as labeling you as a criminal club, and man, it can't go good from there. So I'm hoping that they, use their, and the new president uses his leadership skills and gets control of things, and whatever that is, whatever that looks like, I don't know. Because I don't know that as a, president of this club, how you would, do with something that large and something that is going to take a long time to fix whatever that is. And I don't know if you come up with completely new bylaws about, where you go. And some people see that, well, they should be able to go wherever they want. Well, I agree, it's America. But at the same time, if you're trying to keep a perception, you got to do something to try to not be at possible
But you're not
places.
just talking one incident.
No, that's what I'm saying.
You're not talking one.
Correct.
You're talking.
Yeah, we have people.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's
Multiple.
stacked. It's stacked.
Yeah,
it's hard to go back, Jake?
Well, we had people Jesse in the chat room said, and then in their area, wherever that is, they're saying that they're almost considered a 1% club there.
And that's a good comment, Jesse, but I will tell you that they aren't by the federal government. Is that coming? I don't know. And so maybe some, in some places, depending on how they act, I don't know. I've had run-ins in with them here and I've never had a problem, and they've acted very respectfully. And so I can't speak to that, but thanks for obviously the comment. But just so we all know, as far as OMG Club, they are not labeled. The Mongols are. They're labeled by the federal government.
They put a 1%.
And they're proud of
they
it.
have a
Correct.
1%. They have it on their cuts.
Yeah. Correct. But there's other clubs that don't have the 1% on their vest, and they're considered criminal clubs because they're
Because
affiliated.
of what they do.
So 1%, of course, definitely, but then there's other clubs too and other organizations but they haven't been labeled that yet. So I think it's time to basically go one way or the other, right? Don't you think the teeter-totter, either you're going to go one way or you're going to go the other? I hope they figure it out.
So do I, because I think they could be a valuable part of the motorcycle majority.
Right.
The problem is now,
good call, Jake.
You have members. What do you do? Just dismantle, because now you've got members that have been there from the beginning that aren't law enforcement. So what do they do? Kick the law enforcement members out somehow, or do they kick the other member? What do they do?
Correct. Well, yeah, I don't know. Good question.
Just dismantle the whole thing and come up with something. Come up with another.
I saw somebody earlier in the chat room say something like that. It would be very surprised if they dismantled the whole club. I think it might change directions, or it obviously already has gotten smaller with clubs chapters folding and stuff. Could happen. I'm not saying it's not. I just think that a whole dismantling. But you're right, and they're like we said, we were already losing LEs and stuff. Real quick, and then we'll kind of wrap it up here. Let's thank a few people. Of course, we love the patrons, but we never, ever balk at flat donations. Why don't you go with it, Chewy?
We got Keith Van Bagen of East. Can you
spell it out?
I can't pronounce that.
Setauket,
New York.
I know we mutilated that. Whatever.
Thanks, Keith. And Jeff Durocher of Independence, Missouri. Thanks, Jeff.
He gave a sizable donation. He was curious about donations from time to time. He feels like he's learned and saved a lot of money from watching our videos on our free YouTube videos. And he thought, because we've saved him so much, he would send a donation. That happens, and we appreciate that. All right. Appreciates us sharing our talents.
We got Russell Newell of Silverton, Oregon.
All right.
Thanks, Russell.
Thank you very much. Go, Jake.
Tony Baker of Surrey, British Columbia, Canada, asked a question on a contact form and left a donation. Has also purchased all 3 Boombox videos. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bobby Hamilton of New Braunfels, Texas, another substantial donation, and asked a question on contact form and left a donation.
Go Texas.
John Lane of Rockville, Maryland, another substantial donation. Thanked us specifically for the 7-pin DIN install video.
lawabidingbiker.com/7-pin install. Spell it all out. Very popular video. And that's what guys are doing these days, guys, is they appreciate. They're like, holy cow, these guys are putting out awesome content. So they are like, that video just saved me like $1,000. I'm going to go ahead and donate when they contact us. It's on our contact form, and we appreciate that. Helps sustain us, guys, because it takes a lot of time and money to get this stuff out to you guys. lawabidingbiker.com/donate. Of course, if you can get patron, we love that because you get benefits for that. But of course, if all you can do is a flat donation, we totally would never balk at that. So, all right.
Got a question on here. Can a Canadian use our affiliate links on Amazon?
So you can, and I have Canada and a couple other countries. That's been within the last 6 months. If you go to just lawabidingbiker.com/Amazon, just go there and it will, if you're in Canada, it will do the affiliate for you. It's a service I use, so it groups, and same with the UK. And I can get all you guys and use that one Amazon affiliate link, and it will, through my software, it will determine that you're from Canada, and I will get a kickback from the Canadian Amazon store. Because there's different Amazon stores. You probably didn't know that. Different countries.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's not all the same. There's different Amazon stores for different countries. So good question. lawabidingbiker.com/Amazon. All right. And here's a basement blogger. Somebody mentioned this. I mentioned in the chat room. I don't even want to give this site because it's just a trash site. I don't even want to mention it because I don't even want anybody to go look at it. But it's in the chat room. Be careful of that site. It's one of our basement blogger articles that we got, and it's one of the ones that are just, we laugh at.
I think people put these up just to get a reaction from others.
Right.
They really do.
Well, that's just, yeah.
They can't believe that shit that they put up there.
No.
And how he ended it was
right.
Humorous at best. The DA has basically greenlit first-degree murder.
Right.
In Denver.
It's just so funny. This guy's probably got tinfoil around his head, sitting in his mom's basement in his underwear, just freaking out that everybody's after him and smoking meth or something. I don't know, dude.
Watching old school 80s porn.
Right. No, yeah, totally, dude. Totally.
With the stash.
Yeah, with the stash, dude.
Who wants a mustache ride?
Oh, yeah. Who wants a mustache ride? Love it. So that's it. Pretty much. I mean, anything else you guys want to talk about? I mean, we all agree it is what it is. I think that there's two schools of thought. Either this is going to calm things down or this is going to really, really piss 1%ers off.
Well, the outlaw clubs are going to be absolutely pissed off.
Is that what you think?
I kind of agree.
I think they're just going to forgive them. I think they're going to go to church and they're going to find Jesus and they're going to forgive him for all that's happened. And everybody's going to be a big one worldwide motorcycle club.
Oh, yeah. I think the unfortunate thing behind this is they didn't have, like you talked about before with the Jacksonville shooting, it wasn't such a strong finding of self-defense. And so I think the conspiracy theory might go a little more wild on this. And I think the unfortunate part is I think for this to calm down, it's not fair, but it might fall in the iron order to make that happen for them to kind of chill out a little bit. And it's not, I'm not saying that's even fair.
Chill out in what way? Like stop going to big events and stuff?
Stay out of the media.
I'm not even saying, I'm not saying even don't go to events because that's not fair. It's just, I wonder if there's some situations they can remove themselves from. And I don't know. I mean, I can't tell them what to do. I think
if you're going to a festival, whatever it is, an expo, and you know there's going to be
expo,
just stay away from there. That's it. If you want to go, don't wear your cut. We've done that several times.
Yeah.
We may go to a place as a group.
Right.
We take our cut off. Why do we do that? Because we don't want trouble.
Right.
And it's not that we're not proud of it because
we're smart.
I talked about and it's
we
not
have careers.
It's not even fair, but sometimes it's smart.
Yes.
So
it is our
common sense sometimes plays.
It is our constitutional right to wear it wherever we want, whenever we want. But we also have jobs and careers and families to feed. Yeah. And I don't really want to be in the paper. Not a thing I want to be in it at this point in my life over something like this, but that's a tough call. I appreciate you saying it. And I know there's people out there saying that's bullshit.
And probably
it's a free country. And if they stop doing that, then the 1%ers have won. And now they dictate where people do and don't wear their, see what I'm saying? It's a double-edged sword.
Right. They haven't won a damn thing.
I agree. That will be the perception.
Yeah, it would, but they haven't won a damn
perception is reality.
They haven't won a damn
When I have people, that's the argument that I use when people ask me, I've had people ask me, why do you wear the 3-piece? And it's their thing. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You know?
They own it. No, they don't own it.
So I use the same argument.
Jack.
But I just think that, sometimes common sense is a better part of valor. And I think you just got to, it's just reality.
There you go.
Correct. I can't disagree with you. I don't know what they're going to do, but we wish them the best of luck. We're watching close. I know the law-abiding biker community is watching close. I know that obviously the other criminal element is watching closely at what's going on. And God, I don't want to see it. Just somebody said it earlier in the chat room, right? It does sadden me that anybody would die over this kind of stuff because ultimately that's what it is. It's about them not liking the patch and 1%ers not liking that. And I don't honestly. I'll be the first to tell you, I don't want to see a 1%er die either.
No,
I want everybody to, here's my fluffy world. Why can't we just ride bikes and have fun, and make it this gang thing? It is what it is. It's the world we live in. I get it. 'Cause that is my job. I see tragedy like this, but, and over stupidity. I don't want anybody to die.
They're probably asking the same question about the police. Why can't the police just be cool and not arrest us? Let us do this. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the cool thing about the biker, I agree with you, Chewy. The cool thing about the biker, subculture is just 95% of that or 99% of the time we talk about that. It's just everybody's nice. We have a good time. It's when this stuff gets in, it's just, oh man, it can bring us all down for a while.
Getting a bunch of bikers together is great.
Yeah.
They all love each other. It's fun.
Yeah.
But
most of the time.
Yeah. And then you have some jack wagons that cause problems and it ruins it. But a lot of the majority of the community of bikers, it's great.
Yep.
They're great fun to be around.
That's why we ride.
Yeah.
Why we ride. Love it. The only thing we glazed over, and then we'll wrap this episode up, is what's his name? Sorry, I completely, Duran. Derrick Kong Duran was the corrections officer. He actually did get grazed by a bullet.
I did see that.
Did we glaze over that? We did. So when you're thinking about this case and the 23 independent witnesses and the fact that he did shoot one prior, but that guy didn't die. But then another guy shot him, grazed him, and then he returned fire, killing that Mongol. Pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Very.
With 23 independent witnesses that, okay, somebody shot at him, right? Somebody shot, the guy that shot, that's dead, shot him first and grazed him. So.
And he wasn't trying to graze him, I'll bet you.
I doubt it. Good call, Jake. I don't think he was going for a grazing wound. I'm not going to lie to you. So that's pretty powerful.
Well, didn't they say this guy shot first, though?
He did.
But at a different guy.
At a different guy.
Gotcha.
Then a Mongol shot at him, grazed him. He returned fire, killing that Mongol. And I'm sorry we glazed over that because that's pretty specific, important information.
It is very important.
So some were saying this was funny. I'll say this because these basement bloggers, they were saying up front that I love it that even the Stubbs attorney, that the Mongols weren't armed. This is neutral ground, and they were not armed, and he was the only one armed, and they were losing a fist fight, and that's why they got shot. Okay, it's been proven, guys. The Mongol had a pistol. It shouldn't surprise you. If you're surprised, then you're in la la land. Okay, so he did have a gun. He was armed. I never found out if he was a convicted felon. It doesn't matter. Like I say, nobody deserves to die and rest in peace and all that kind of stuff, guys. It's tragedy any way you look at it, but that's some pretty powerful evidence that we kind of glazed over there that I wanted to make sure we take. Well, I'm going to have a load of resources for you guys. I'll have links to the article I did and a whole bunch of other stuff we've done over time on the Colorado, the Mongols, the Black Pistons, all these different, a lot of different biker brawls that different stuff that in kind of Iron Order related. And somebody mentioned, I think it was Greg Gaxiola earlier, I'm not sure, 64 and 65, episode 64 and 65, where I interviewed Ray Lubeski, the ex-former international president of the Iron Order, now the president of the Iron Legacy, who split off from the Iron Order. You guys have any last comments before I take it out?
Nope, I think we're good.
I think everything that we presented was pretty accurate. So
been awesome. Thanks, guys, for doing this. And I wanted to do a follow-up on this. It's fairly recent, and we'll get this episode out. And thanks for everybody being
Thanks for joining us, guys.
Yeah. Everybody in the chat room.
Thanks for the audience.
Somebody's from Venezuela, Eduardo Angulo. That's awesome. We got somebody said hi earlier from Mexico City. Cheers from Mexico City, Eduardo. That's okay, cool.
Said he rode from Mexico City to Sturgis last year. That's
Sweet.
A heck of a ride. Nice.
Wow.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Jesse Benson in there, I see, just giving some shout outs. Experimental Ghost. Yeah, know who that. There you go. Know who that is. It's hard with these names. Here, even the jury knew that OJ killed Ron and Nicole, but the prosecutor totally blew it. Yeah, there you go. That's funny. Good. Okay. With that said, guys, thanks for being here. And of course, got some calls for action for you guys. That's right. Don't forget, guys, about the old biker gripper, guys. The strongest, sexiest, sleekest cell phone motorcycle mount in the world, guys. Selling them like stinking hotcakes. That's right. Use it to mount your cell phone, GPS, radar detectors, EFI tuners, toll transponders, so much more. That's right. Tried and tested right here by the law-abiding biker crew. Believing it so much, we stamped our very own freaking logo on it, Chewy. Mm-hmm.
That's right.
And it's badass.
It is, and it's only available exclusively right now in the Law-Abiding Biker store. lawabidingbiker.com/store. Choose from several different models: chrome, all chrome, black, control mount, universal mount, all that kind of stuff, guys. All right. That's right. Biker freaking gripper. All right, guys. And if you, we talked about Patreon, we talked about donating. If you don't have any money right now, we get it. Everybody's different financial situation, but at least head over. It's free. Rate us in iTunes or Stitcher Radio. lawabidingbiker.com/iTunes or /Stitcher Radio. What that does for us, guys, is bumps us up in the rankings so that more bikers around the world can find us and they can jump on this very bandwagon, what we call the biker revolution. That is the scuttlebutt right now. It's all about the biker revolution.
The scuttlebutt.
All right, we're out of here, guys. Peace out.
Peace, guys.